Welcome back to another episode of the Scholar Budget podcast, where we help students like you to earn a debt-free degree. And one of those ways we like to encourage students to earn a debt-free degree is, of course, through scholarships. And I have found a really great scholarship opportunity, but more importantly, the program, the organization, the mission, and the whole reason why this scholarship even exists is really, really impactful. I'm talking about making a difference in the communities all over. And here to talk to us about this amazing scholarship and this really great opportunity is first Taylor Gorycki, who is the Community Relations Coordinator for Sodexo Stop Hunger Foundation. In her current role as Community Relations Coordinator for the Sodexo Stop Hunger Foundation, Taylor manages the overall communications of the organization with a focus on building stronger relationships with Sodexo's employees and the foundation's 20 national nonprofit partners. We'll also get to speak to the amazing Sarah Lankford, who is the Senior Program Manager for Sodexo Stop Hunger Foundation. And in her current role, Sarah serves as a Senior Program Manager with Sodexo's nonprofit entity, the Sodexo Stop Hunger Foundation. And Sarah manages the foundation's legacy programs, including the one we're going to get to talk about today, which is the Stephen J. Brady Scholarship Program. Go ahead and grab your notepad, pen, pencil, a snack, take notes, and take advantage of this really great, amazing opportunity and connect with this organization. You're listening to the Scholar Budget podcast, where we teach you how to earn a debt-free degree, grow your money, and claim every opportunity with your name on it. I'm your host, Raquel Bartoli. Let's jump right in. All right, so here we are with two members of this fabulous team. Hello, Sarah. Hello, Taylor. Welcome to the Scholar Budget podcast. How are you doing today?
Doing wonderfully.
Thanks so much for having us.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for making time in your schedule to share about this amazing program and scholarship. And so let's just jump right in. Can you please tell us more about who you are and what you do?
Certainly. My name is Sarah Lankford, and I am our Senior Program Manager for the Sodexo Stop Hunger Foundation. I've been in this role since 2017, both with Sodexo and the foundation. And really what my job entails is touching a lot of different things. We all have a lot of different tasks. We're a small team. But I touch three different programs. The first one being Sodexo Summer Meals, right? We all know that in the summer, a lot of times kids don't have access to food.
Right.
So what we do is we run feeding sites in 12 U.S. cities across the United States.
Okay.
And that way we make sure that kids get access to healthy, nutritious meals when school's not in session. Now, the second program is kind of cool because we get to recognize our Sodexo employees. It's called the Sodexo Heroes of Everyday Life. We have many employees across the country, and my job is to try to help find them, specifically those that do work in the hunger space, food insecurity space, those that care about their communities and helping feed them. So once we locate those folks, we ask them to apply for this award, and then we get them ready for a recognition and networking and celebration event. And then the third thing that I do is what we're mostly going to be talking about today, are Stephen J. Brady scholarships. And I'm sure we'll dive much more into that.
Awesome. Thank you for giving us the spiel on what you do, Sarah. And Taylor, tell us about yourself.
Yeah, thank you, Raquel. My name is Taylor Gorycki, and I've served as the Community Relations Coordinator for Stop Hunger here in the U.S. for the last 3 years. So I really manage kind of the day-to-day communications of the foundation. I also work very closely on building relationships with our 20 national grantee partners.
Wow.
A lot of focus goes there. I also interact with our Sodexo employees when they are volunteering and engaging in activities aligned with our mission. I also do a couple of other things, as Sarah mentioned. We're all very busy. I manage our K-12 food backpack program and our on-campus pantry grant program as well. And then I work on the business side a little bit in food recovery and donation with our sustainability and corporate social responsibility office, in addition to kind of helping with the heroes and the scholars, which we'll talk more about today.
Wow, sounds like a very tight unit of individuals serving and working simultaneously. And I love that you mentioned the backpack program. Personally, at my church, it's a program that we have initiated in our community, and we know how much of a difference it makes for kids to have food over the weekend. So that's pretty cool. Awesome. So can you share the story behind Stephen Brady's efforts in fighting hunger? Like, what inspired him to get involved in such an important cause?
Certainly. So Stephen J. Brady was a Sodexo executive. He handled the communications for the United States within Sodexo, the company. And I've had the opportunity to review a lot of historical information and videos, scripts, things of that nature. And what I found was a really touching clip and a quote that he gave during one of our foundation dinner fundraisers. So I'm going to not do it justice if I try to repeat from memory. So I'm going to read what he said. So I want to make sure I get this right. So he said that young people like my children see the world in simple terms. People are hungry. That's not right. That's not fair. We must help them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really was powerful to see it. I mean, that your eyes well up in tears a little bit. And, it's very touching. And what he ended up doing is he took the vision and the heart of our employees who, as I shared before, have a very strong service spirit. And then he paired that with the infrastructure of Sodexo, our company. And what ended up happening is he created a foundation that made perfect sense for Sodexo, which is a food service company.
Right.
And as the company has grown, so has the mission. So he started this with just an idea in 1996. And then over the 3 years, it was called Stop Hunger. He grew the mission and he made it a foundation in 1999. To what is known now is the Sodexo Stop Hunger Foundation.
Okay.
But there he grew it, or it has grown through many different partnerships into a global mission. Sodexo, our parent company out of France, has adopted it as the group for the Lankford mission. And we operate Stop Hunger in 54 countries where we do business. So from an idea in 1996 to where we are today, we've grown it to a worldwide mission through Stephen J. Brady. And I do have to share that unfortunately he passed away in 2011.
Okay.
And from our staff's perspective, we get the honor to continue his great work, and especially through the scholarship called the Stephen J. Brady Scholarship.
That's beautiful. And to know that the organization and the mission has grown is great, because we know that need is continuing to grow even now as we speak. There are so many food insecure families, students. And so this is so great that I love when like a person has an idea and it becomes a reality and then it just spreads. So shout out to Stephen J. Brady for the seed he has planted, and to see you all be a part of that growing. So tell me, how do you engage and mobilize other youth in the community to join you in this fight against hunger? How do you make it important and place it on the hearts of young people who are sometimes kind of, bombarded with all the things they want to do? I mean, even for my own kids, I tell them, part of your community service is really just to humble you and to help you to realize, how blessed you are and to be a blessing to others. So how do you all engage students in that capacity?
Well, it's a great question because as you found out, we're a small and mighty team.
Yes.
We don't have the networks on our own across the US to connect with every single student. And so we're incredibly fortunate to have fantastic partnerships with other organizations across the US that are aligned in one way or another with the work that we do.
Beautiful.
So while Stop Hunger, the foundation, is focused more broadly on empowering families and younger generations to make a difference, each of the organizations that we partner with kind of hones in on one particular area. And some of those are, of course, with youth empowerment, youth engagement. And an example of one of these partnerships is with the fantastic organization Youth Service America, who we've been working with for many years.
Wonderful.
The way our relationship works, one of the things we help fund is a youth volunteerism grant, where students who are just getting their feet wet in this type of work, they've never necessarily done any type of work within the community, they receive grants and they get to craft these programs and execute them on Youth Service Day, which occurs in April. And it's really from that relationship that we kind of see it almost as a pipeline of impact, where we begin forming relationships with these youth while they're young and they're learning what is philanthropy, what does it mean to give back. And then we can help continue that grant process as they get a little bit older. They're honing in on what they like about the process, how to change, how to evolve with the times. And then they eventually get to the point where they would qualify as kind of a national Stephen J. Brady Scholar.
Nice.
So it's really exciting because with the work we do and the partnerships that we have, they begin to understand, the youth get to understand who we are. And then we really have the opportunity to put ourselves out there to say, not only can you apply for this, but now, you're starting to think about school. Let's apply for the larger scholarship. Let's give you that additional grant to put into the work that you're doing.
Right.
So it's this really symbiotic relationship, which is, incredibly, something we're incredibly thankful for. And it's really due to the other partnerships that we have. That's how we network. That's how we get out there, is through the collective energy of all of our friends.
Beautiful. So through your partnerships, those are the additional boots on the ground that are spreading the word. And Taylor, you mentioned the grant. Is that something that is available for like other programs to apply for? Can other schools apply for the grant and implement like a program on their campus as well?
Yeah, so with that grant specifically, it's usually a child or a group of children who would apply for it, but then they are the ones that tend to get their entire school involved.
Nice.
That is something that is open to all students across the United States, so we can share that link with you and provide it out to folks. It's been happening, I forget how many years now, Sarah, but definitely before we both got on board, and it's a great way to introduce students to the world of giving back.
I love it. That is awesome. And so it's been mentioned already, but let's dive in a little bit deeper. Can you tell us more about the scholarship, the reason why, and like the entire process? Community service and service is not just about what I can get. And I think sometimes students come in with that thought process, like I'm going to do service so I can get scholarships. But once they're in the midst of it and they see the impact of what they're doing, that mindset changes. So tell us about the process and what it looks like for students.
Certainly. So I want to start off by saying it's crystal clear, right? This is a top 5 scholarship program for Stephen J. Brady scholarships. And what that means is those 5 students receive 3 things: a $10,000 scholarship for their education.
Wow.
A $5,000 grant to the hunger charity of their choice.
Nice.
And then a all expenses paid trip for the student and 2 immediate family members to attend the Sodexo Charity Classic presented by PepsiCo, which is our annual fundraiser that we do every year to help raise the majority of the funding that then we're able to grant. So those are the 3 top elements of the program. And right now, the scholarship is open.
Beautiful.
It's open from September 5th to November 5th, excuse
Okay.
me. And it's hosted on our vendor platform called ISTS. And it's really a simple process to go over to that platform, start a profile, and really you just dive in to answering questions. The questions are of quantitative nature, numbers, and then qualitative nature, like how are you helping? Tell us a little more about your story, your passion. So you have both elements there. And what we really want to know is how do students, how do they know that there was even a problem in their community, right? How do they identify it? And what did they do to help solve it? Did they use something they learned in school, their creative skills, their organizational skills? What did they do to possibly attack the problem in their community? And then lastly, we also are really, really interested in going beyond the meal. Meaning, what do students know about the root causes of hunger? And so within that application, we've tried to set it up in a way that captures all of that information. So after that is turned in on November 5th, deadline, we work with the ISTS vendor to help get us down to a certain number of applications. And they all come to the foundation, Stop Hunger Foundation, for us to review. And we have a third-party review panel that then takes us down to the top 5 national selection.
Okay.
And so from that process, we begin notifying them in February of 2025 if they are a top 5 scholar and if they accept the terms of the award, right? And that is important because once we identify and they accept the terms of the award, they're on their way to becoming almost, I don't know how to, we will send photographers to their hometown.
Yes, like paparazzi on the
celebs.
world.
So
Love it.
It starts there in the month of February and March because we need to get them ready to tell their story in at the event, which this year is May 5th through 7th in Frisco, Texas. So really the ball gets rolling, and that's where, we'll be starting to write their bios and learn what their social media handles are and get everyone in shape for the event and excited about this really fun event. So that's the process.
I love it. Like so many things to unravel here. Like what? This is an amazing award, amazing opportunity to then choose the organization that your heart desires to be able to support them. I like how you mentioned creativity. So thinking outside of the box and knowing your numbers, right? Like maybe prior to this podcast, you were like, oh, I know people are hungry, but now here's an opportunity to do something about it. So doing your research, knowing what those stats look like in your community with, outside of your community. So those are really, really good nuggets. So you said November 5th is the deadline, and I hope parents and students hear that because we know when we're going through the scholarship process, especially an amazing scholarship such as this, we should already be doing the work, and the work needs to be done before the 5th so that we can articulate that in our scholarship application. And Sarah, can you touch on the criteria as far as the age or grade level a scholar needs to be in order to apply?
Certainly. So the parameters are that students ages 5 through 25, kindergarten through graduate school, are eligible to apply for this scholarship. Wow. It is merit-based, so we won't ask for financial information or anything like that as well. They need to be enrolled in a school, right? They need to be a student. And really, I think that's it. That's awesome. That's pretty simple.
At 5 years old, listen, I know there's some 6-year-olds out there and 5-year-olds that are like, we're already doing the work. We got a farm in the backyard and we're feeding people. So that's so cool that from the babes to the young adults, they have an opportunity to create an impact. And then if they're one of the top 5 winners, then use this money towards their education. This is so cool. So I'm like already on it. In my mommy mind, I'm like, this is on the list of scholarships we're going to apply for. And what I really love is like the grant that you mentioned, Taylor, how that, if a school organization gets that, how that just opens up the door to what can be done. And then like you mentioned, then exposing them to the opportunity to apply, because you're already doing the legwork. You might as well shoot your shot.
Exactly.
Awesome. And so, I forgot to ask, when they receive the scholarship money, it's specifically for their schooling, does that get sent directly to them? Does it get sent to the college? Can they use it for books? What does that look like?
Certainly. So if the student happens to be already enrolled in a higher education institution, whatever that may be, we would send the check directly there through their instructions. They sign an affidavit that kind of makes sure we get the money to the right place.
Yeah.
If they don't have that yet. You're in kindergarten or fifth grade, whatever you're in, and you don't have that yet. We just ask that you set up a 529 plan.
Oh, beautiful.
And then that would be deposited into that 529 plan simply. And it's, tuition, books, those sort of things, whatever you can use for a 529 plan.
Awesome. Perfect. Thank you for sharing that.
Right.
And could you talk, because you mentioned so many good stuff, so I got to unpack a little bit more. Could you describe the 3-day all expense paid networking and recognition event? Like, what is that experience like for the students, or feedback that you've received from past events?
Okay. So I have 3 words for this, and I'm kind of diving into onboarding our students that win each year, right? We're going to have fun, you're going to be recognized, and you're going to network. So that's what the event really is centered around. And what it really starts off with is once we fly the folks in, the student and the 2 immediate family guests, they start meeting each other.
Yeah.
It's a cool moment to see all of the top 5 scholars meeting each other. And we also have our employee recognition awards at the same time. So we have a top 5 heroes of everyday life in the same room. So we have intergenerational folks doing hunger work, and we get to put them all together and say, guess what? This is what's going to be happening in the next couple of days. And we're so honored to have you here. That very evening, there's a premium reception. So I may not have mentioned who attends this event, but who attends this event is top food, beverage, and environmental services companies from global, national level, right? And they support the Stop Hunger mission. And they get it very excited, especially about the young scholars and what they're doing.
Yeah.
So they're going to go to this networking night 1 and start asking questions and wanting to know more about what the students are doing. And honestly, it's because they want to help them further.
Mm-hmm.
They really do. They want to connect. And to keep with the agenda of the event, the next day we do have a fun portion, which all of it's fun to me, but we do a fun event with the top 5 winners and their families and honoree guests, and we do something that has something to do with the resort area that we're going to in Frisco, to be determined, but it will be. And then we have rehearsals, right? So there is a stage presence with this event. The evening program, these folks are our keynote speakers in a way. We story tell, and then we also ask them a few questions on stage and they're interviewed so that our audience hears exactly what they're doing and can connect with those students.
Wow.
Once that's done, there's a networking event again, and then we have to unfortunately say goodbye the next day, and they fly home. But a lot of the benefit of this event for the students happens maybe even after the event. It's because maybe a company, and I've heard this, offers a mentorship relationship. Maybe they offer an internship. Maybe they offer additional funding for the nonprofit project that the student's working on. The doors are open.
Right. Opportunities are endless. I can only imagine, because at least for me, when I meet a young person who's doing something outside of the box, they're excited about something and they're putting in effort. Like, I want to go above and beyond. And I often share that with students, like, your superpower is being young. When you're young and you're aggressive and you're going for it and you're making a difference, like, people look at that and they're admired. So when we catch an eye of a student who's really out there trying to make a difference or whatever the case is, people will bend over backwards for you. So
Oh,
use your superpower of being young before
yes,
you get old, and use what you got. You know what I mean? Use what you got.
absolutely.
And Taylor, can you chime in on this? What challenges have students faced while working on hunger-related projects, and how have they overcome them to continue making a difference? And the reason why I ask is, like, as students are, hearing this, and maybe they say, okay, I really want to do something great, but I can't do it now. I want to do it next year. Maybe they're doing it now. What are some hurdles they might face, and what are some tips or suggestions you have for them to kind of overcome those things so they don't give up and think, oh, my project's not big enough, good enough, etc.?
Yeah, it's great. It's great to talk about, because I think it first comes up with kind of the age of the students, right? That is a broad range, 5 to 25. And sometimes the younger kids and their parents can get intimidated because the work that a 5-year-old or a 10-year-old is a little bit different probably than the work that a 21-year-old will do.
Right.
So we always say, start where you are. Understand your community first. Listen to people, talk to people. Try something. If it doesn't work, try something else.
Right.
Don't be intimidated and think that right off the bat, you have to have the best idea that changes the world. Any bit of effort is better than nothing, right? It's
Right.
a learning experience. That's why we focus on youth and the younger generations, because this is about learning and trying new things. So in terms of challenges, I know Sarah and I talk about this often. A lot of times kids say, well, I'm just a kid. What am I supposed to do? I can't drive. I don't have a job to make money to give back. What can I do? And one of the things that I think is really special, it may have its societal faults and its drawbacks, but technology has in many ways had a really positive impact for the students in this age group, because it allows them to increase their influence and their voice. Taking social media, something that these kids, even as young as 5 and 6, know how to use now.
Right.
It allows them to get an invested, sustained followership. It allows them to really connect with an audience and promote something that matters to them. It doesn't take the same amount of manpower as it used to, and the amount of time, right? You can do everything from your hand. And so I think that's one of the things that we say is, don't focus on the scariness of how big you want it to get. Focus on where you are, utilizing the resources you have available to you now.
Absolutely.
And you can make a difference from wherever you are, at whatever starting point, even if you're just a kid.
Yes.
We see so many inspiring stories, and there's just a great amount of work to be done that can be tackled from so many different ways. So get out there and do what you love, and it'll work out one way or another.
Yeah. And I think the part too that maybe people might miss, especially like parents and students on the younger age, is that this is up to 25. So it can only get better each year. And I think throughout this process, you're learning something, you're developing skills, and you can even speak to this through other scholarship applications and even your college application, where at 6 years old, I applied, I did these things, but I was determined to make an impact. And, it was in my 9th grade year that I was able to secure this. So there's so much unfolding that can be done and serving at the same time. So that is fantastical. I love it. All right. And so can you all tell us about a rewarding moment or success story from any applicant that just pops up on your mind right now?
Sure. I a short little story. It's actually a lot of big impact, but we had a student a few years ago. Her name was Natalia. She's from the Virginia Beach area. She focuses her efforts on food recovery. And what she did was she used her voice, and she approached the Virginia State Legislature. And what she wanted to talk about was the best by, use by, sell by dates that you might see on some of the packaging of your food that you might buy in the grocery store. So she saw that and knew that a lot of that food was going to waste. It just gets thrown away, right? So the Virginia legislature listened to Natalia and made a change, right? They said companies are safe to donate that food to the local food bank. So Natalia is on stage during her event, and she's encouraging people, by her story, and a company was listening. And pretty much within a week, we heard that the company approached their Virginia team, their operations in Virginia, and said, hey, guess what? We're protected. We can do our sell by, best by, use by date packaged products, and we can donate that to
that's so
Virginia
cool.
food banks. So we can help feed more people, and we can reduce our footprint, right?
Right.
Not waste food. So that's my, we don't often see the linear story, but that was a very linear example that
I love
makes
that.
me proud.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. What about you, Taylor? Anyone come?
Yeah, there are two that always kind of come to mind. And one of the things I want to point out with both of them, there are two separate gentlemen. One is named Jack Griffin and the other is Nicholas Metropolis. They're both alums. But the really cool thing about what they have done is they received this $5,000 grant, right, that you get to give to the charity of your choice. Well, many of our Brady scholars have their own nonprofits. So not only are they getting this educational scholarship, but they can choose to invest that $5,000 back into their project.
Okay.
And so both of these gentlemen have done that, right? Nick, he won, I think, in the 20-teens. And he had originally kind of started off with this initiative where they recovered and donated fish from fishing tournaments down in Florida to the local food banks, where they would then make the food and pass it out to folks in the community who needed that additional funding. Well, Nick then decided, oh my gosh, here's this extra seed money, which is a pretty big chunk for most youth to receive at one time. It allows them to now get a new idea off the ground or, really boost up a program that they already have. So Nick took this idea and he said, I'm expanding my mission. I now want to educate my community on aquaponics and sustainable farming. He started his own aquaponics growing system.
Wow.
So now not only is fish a part of what he does, but he grows his own fresh produce and donates that back to the community, in addition to these additional educational opportunities that he provides. So that's one example, right, of someone who's gone beyond and been able to grow. And that's now his full-time job. He runs his nonprofit full-time.
Look at that.
Down in Florida. So Marine Education Initiative. Then we have Jack Griffin, a similar kind of story, right? A brilliant young man who had this idea of something called Food Finder, which is basically like a digital mapping system that connects food insecure folks to free food resources in their community. He won the award. He ended up going to school, I think the next year or two, but kept up working on Food Finder and decided, I'm going to make this my full-time thing. Finished up school. And the really cool thing about Jack too, is we've continued our relationship through today. Not only did we support him as a scholar, Food Finder is now one of our 20 national grantee partners who we continue to work with.
Talk about a full circle moment.
Exactly. So having this opportunity to not only uplift folks through the Brady Scholarship, but to now have them be kind of full-time Stop Hunger partners is huge. And that's really what we're looking for. I talked about YSA and the youth grants, starting young, Brady Scholarship. If this is something you want to continue, how can we help promote what you're doing and continue to help you sustain if that's what your interest is? So those are my two little.
I love it. And thank you for sharing that, because it allows our listeners to see that this doesn't have to be like a one-time thing. This is something that you really want to continue to pursue, even if you have your main career and you have your nonprofit that you're continuing to grow. There is room and opportunity for that partnership to continue even well after high school and the scholarship and college application and all of that good stuff. So, this is so exciting. So much good stuff here. And so as we get ready to close out, is there any other advice, tips, or suggestions that you would like to leave with our listeners as we encourage them to tackle important issues like childhood hunger and food insecurity in our communities and all over the world?
Certainly. Short and sweet. We would love the kids to find something that they're passionate about and stick with it. and to build something that's possibly comprehensive, something that challenges them and keeps them engaged. And eventually they'll become so engrossed with it that they're going to engage others. And it's just
Right.
going to go from there. So just get started.
That's great. Yeah, I would say one of the things, and this kind of touches on Stop Hunger's mission as well, but it's really important for youth and adults alike to understand that the issue of hunger is deeper than just feeding people. You know, it's unfortunately a systematic issue that is rooted in the cycle of poverty. And you know, if you're interested in making a difference, if you're interested in helping end childhood hunger, know that that goes beyond just giving someone a meal.
Right.
We consider those activities to be beyond food aid, which could mean that you are promoting access to affordable housing. You could be helping in skills development and training, mentorship, financial literacy.
Right.
All of these elements are connected to hunger. So follow what it is you're passionate about. It doesn't have to be just, you know, giving meals. All of those areas connect to the issues and allow people to uplift their own lives and not have to focus so much on where their next meal is coming from. So if there are folks too, even for this scholarship, if you're not working directly in food aid, but you have created a financial literacy program at your school, or you're helping to establish a community garden, all of those things fall in line and under the umbrella of our mission.
Right.
So like Sarah, follow what you're passionate about. Get up, try again if it doesn't work out. And I'm sure anything that you're doing in some way connects to childhood hunger more generally.
Absolutely. Oh, this is so good. Thank you both so much. We are definitely going to leave the link to your organization and everything you're doing, plus the scholarship application. And we encourage scholars and parents to look at this, see if this is a good fit for your scholar. If your scholar's already doing the work, then it's just a matter of reading the requirements and submitting your application. And keep trying, because everything you do makes a difference. And Taylor, thank you for mentioning the connections, right? It's not just about giving food, but there's other opportunities to help, you know, people to be able to take care of themselves, and therefore be able to buy food for their families. So everything matters. Awesome. Thank you so much, ladies. I appreciate you both.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for that opportunity.
Hey there. I hope you were taking notes and you're ready to implement what you heard. If this podcast inspired you or helped you in any way, I would love for you to subscribe, follow, and share this with a student, parent, or educator you care about, because sharing is caring. Also, your feedback means a lot. So please leave a written review of this show on Apple Podcasts. And if you ever want to connect outside of the podcast, you can find us at The Scholar Budget on Insta or the Book of Faces. So until next time, shine bright and put in the work so we can make those dreams a reality. Bye!